And welcome everybody to what is essentially round 9 of the Formula One 2019 season. This round 9 with Austria, the Red Bull Ring. And I'd just like to mention that today this hangout comes from the Great Debate in Perpetuity. So there you go. And I'm welcomed with Fabio here, who's going to give us an extremely accurate breakdown of the race. He comes from a very intelligent school. Could you just tell us quickly what that medal is and where you managed to get that?
It's a new school medal, of course. That goes
Ah,
without saying. Yeah, yeah.
new
Uh,
school.
grad,
So,
graduate from poor man's whatever new school
mhm,
shit. Yeah,
good. Yeah, and so that makes you probably one of the smartest people on the planet, I'm guessing.
of course. Yeah, that goes without saying. I'm surprised you even entertain the thought that not might not be the case. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised I can understand your thoughts are that much higher than
right,
mine. But
right.
nonetheless, welcome everybody. This is part of the Great Debate Community Project, and I think we should just crack on basically with the show tonight.
Yeah.
And so, I'll do a bit of Murray Walker because that's how I like to do these things. And now, welcome everybody to Formula One. It's go, go, go! And there we go. Bad Murray Walker. So Austria, it was a fantastic race, probably the best
Yes.
here so far. The reason being, of course, Mercedes didn't win. Oh, who'd have thought that?
Well,
Not
it sucked balls. Not only did they win, they sucked balls.
they
Did they
did.
race?
Well, I say they stuck the balls. They still beat a Ferrari. There you go. Uh, nonetheless, I can't.
Uh, did they?
Did they?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong again. What is it? Second and
Yeah,
fourth. They came second and fourth, didn't they?
yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. So I thought maybe
which
Lewis.
is, I mean, it's better than third and fifth, right?
It certainly is better than that, and it's better than fifth and somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there you go. But yeah, no, very disappointing by Mercedes for me, of course. But I blame the tyres. Let me just put that out there straight away.
Oh, you can't.
Why not?
I was waiting for you on that. You can't.
Damn, give it a go. Tell me
No,
why not.
no, because Toto Wolff specifically praised Pirelli after the race. They say they made a fantastic job. Last year they had problem with blister. They had no problem this time. So Toto Wolff praised Pirelli. So you cannot blame the tires.
Sure, yeah, I know. But
And
then,
of course,
what?
the reason why I said that is because everybody else wanted to change the tires, but him, and he bit him in the ass really bad. And yeah, but I mean, I love Toto Wolff. It's only that I mean, he's good, right? I mean, he's good even when he's not that good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a hell of a diplomat. I'll give him that much. Because clearly, hot weather and Mercedes don't go together. What surprised me is that my conspiracy theory took a knocking because it was hot and Ferrari had some good speed. But then maybe it didn't because Red Bull won. So that I don't know. Maybe we can keep the conspiracy going just a little while longer. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
just because if you want to climb on walls, on mirrors, yeah, you can do that.
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go
Yeah,
just for
yeah,
entertainment.
man.
Just for the entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to do a quick, brief race recap, or would you like me to do that?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can say is that I did not fall asleep. It was a fantastic race. I still don't like the circuit. I think it's really short. But at least it was a circuit and it wasn't like how do you call them, a mall, uh, parking lot like the one in France.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a proper circuit, with grass, yeah, I mean, going up and down, fast corners. That was a proper circuit, and you can see the show happening. Norris was very good. Sainz was very good. we saw, I think, personally, an amazing Raikkonen. He made a fantastic race, especially at the start. The start, he made something magic because, I mean, he was in between cars which were way faster than him, besides Norris, but he was between, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. He had all around them, and he just, said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going for it. So he made something really magic. Giovinazzi got the first point of the season. Good for him. And other than that, well, I'm disappointed for the Renault. Gasly, I don't know how much breath he still has got in the season. I don't think it's going to make the end of the season, to be fair. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, there are other things that you will talk about it, and we can, the
Yeah,
occasion to talk about it.
I would certainly agree with most of what you said there. Obviously, the event of the Grand Prix was in fact on the penultimate lap, which was Verstappen overtaking Leclerc, the pacey pastry, for first place. And as to whether that was fair or not, I think again we're probably going to disagree because we always do. But maybe not the way around people would think. So, what was your opinion, first of all, on the most controversial part of the race?
Well,
Verstappen overtaking Leclerc.
well, first of all, let me say before getting to the incident, okay, uh, both Verstappen and Leclerc drove a fantastic race, both of them. I'm really sorry that you cannot award first position for two drivers because I think that they both deserved it. Um, some people they set up a fantastic duel, which is something that Bottas didn't, because when he was overtaken by Verstappen, it was quite uh, I don't know, embarrassing, for the car or whatever. uh, about the incident, I don't know if I'm going to surprise you or not, but I will say that I'm happy they didn't give any penalty, and I think it was fair. I think it was okay. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean that surprises me because I thought it was a penalty. I'd like to just obviously the stewards have all the information, but what is the relevant information is how early or late Verstappen braked and what corner speed he had. And basically, I'm going back to that incident between Lewis and Nico Rosberg, which again I felt was a penalty, and clearly, Nico ran Lewis off the track because he turned in late. And before they came to the corner, I'm thinking that is going to happen at that corner again because that's what Verstappen realised. He made the mistake earlier. He didn't run Leclerc off the track the lap before that. And so this time he's definitely going to do it because that's the way he's going to get past. Because that's the only way he can get past because the Ferrari's so damn quick down the straight. So I felt it was a slam dunk that shall we say that
I know.
Verstappen was going to do that, and
I know.
maybe we could say that's Leclerc's fault then because he should have known that was going to come happen and he should have tucked in behind him and overtaken him down the straight. But I don't think so. I think he was alongside enough turning into the corner that he should have been given room. But that's my personal opinion. Go on.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I know why you said that, and I appreciate that. But keep in mind the reason why I said I'm genuinely happy nothing happened. Okay, so you got to trust me on that. The reason why I said that is exactly the same reason why I think that the thing which happened with Vettel and Hamilton was bullshit in Canada. So, and this is the thing that we talked about after that race. The problem with FIA is that they're not fucking consistent. There is no way around it. So, because I've heard Binotto talking about that stuff, and he was very confident that it was that they were going to give 5 seconds to Verstappen. I even wrote it on Discord after the race. I was quite sure that would have happened because that seems to be the route they were going to. And again, Binotto made a couple of interesting points because he said, "Listen, the rules are there. We've been penalized with Vettel and Hamilton, so there is intentional contact with the car, check, and no, sorry, there is causing an accident, check, and intentionally driving the car out of the track, check." Those were the two things which were taken into consideration with Vettel and Hamilton. And I thought it was bullshit. And I am glad that didn't happen in Austria, but I was actually, my idea was that it was going to happen because those two things were checking out the very same way. I want to say another interesting thing because I know people, they talk a lot after the races. In Canada, the team of stewards, the driver was Pirro, which is an Italian guy. Is really fast. He won Le Mans. Is really tough. In Austria, it was help me out there. It wasn't Pirro. It's another 24-hour driver. Oh boy. Well, it anyway. It wasn't Pirro and it wasn't an Italian, and that happened. Now, the the the, the problem is what we said at the beginning. You either are consistent or not. I can understand that they say, well, because before this race they started saying, oh, we're gonna call the drivers, we're gonna give them flags, and telling them not to do it anymore because unless we're gonna penalize. But this is bullshit because if it happens in the last lap of the races, of course, fuck, I mean, what the fuck are you going to tell the guys? Yeah, don't do it again. Yeah, okay, the race is over, right? So there is no point in that. So this is a big problem, and I understand that they said they were going to change their attitude. I I I mean, I'm really sad that every time it has to happen with things like that. And I'm not big on conspiracy. I don't think they happen. I think it's more a political thing than not a conspiracy. But you lose credibility as an entity when you do stuff like that because you can't change the rules mid season. Because if those rules applied in Canada, those rules should apply in Austria.
Yeah,
And I'm
I
glad, yeah,
yeah,
and I'm glad they didn't apply that in Austria. But this makes me even more pissed that they were applied in Canada.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with what you're saying, and I don't personally. I don't think the Canada incident has much relation to this one. I'm going back to the 2016 incident between Rosberg and Hamilton. And
Yes,
in that case, the car on the inside was in fact found not to have turned his steering wheel in enough time to give Lewis room to get round the corner, therefore forcing Lewis off the track.
right.
Now, is this looked like the same sort of incident to me, except maybe it was the decision could be a little closer. And again, we don't have access to the steward's information.
We
Maybe
don't.
maybe Max braked later than he'd late braked at any time previous in the race. Maybe his cornering speed was a little higher than at most times through that corner. I don't know. It didn't look that way to me, and it looked like he did it deliberately. Of course, that's my bias again, and so we have to be wary of that, and it's the stewards that make the decision. But Nico, as I put in the side chat, Nico was given a 10 seconds penalty uh,
Yes,
for that incident in 2016, and of course that would have changed the result here today in Austria yesterday.
right.
So
No,
I,
and
I I don't think that's consistent. If it's found, in fact, that Verstappen was breaking, not breaking, or
it is not consistent. That's the main issue.
yeah,
And let me say one more thing. They during the weekend they penalized Lewis because he got in the way of Kimi. So they were applying the very same strict rules that that happened with like for example Vettel and Sainz last year. Okay,
Yeah.
so the old pattern was consistent, which was what has happened from Canada and even before, 2 years before and last year. And all of a sudden, they just stopped taking that into consideration. This is not good for the sport. I mean, I'm happy they realized that. What I'm afraid of is that it's all an interpretation of every steward and depending on the kind of accident. This is not very good for the sport. You either implement the rules or you don't.
Mm.
And I just want to say that the rules don't make sense in a lot of cases, but if they're there to be implemented. And you cannot do that one time, not the other one. Because again, I have no data to back me up. Okay, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I am positive that if you examine the data from the cars, I am positive that at a certain point, Verstappen, um, on the camera, it showed that it was full lock on the right. I am sure that there is a moment where it's not full lock, it just have a glitch. And that happens because, when you apply gas, the car, oversteers for a little bit. And of course you do that. It's automatic. It's a reaction.
Mm.
But keep in mind, that was the main point that they penalized Vettel with Hamilton. And I'm sure that if you analyze the data, you will find that at a certain moment, at a certain point, Verstappen just opened the steering wheel a little bit. So even that excuse falls really short. And that is my biggest complaint. I'm happy I complained about it in 2 races ago where nobody would have thought that would have happened, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm happy they started looking at it in a different way. Now I am afraid what is going to happen from now on,
Yeah.
because it's not a change of rules, it's a change of attitude. And the attitude, it's a very dangerous thing, mostly because the stewards are not the same every race.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, firstly, I would disagree on one little point. I thought from the onboard camera that Max played it really smart in that he left the he left never steered back out of the turn. He just didn't steer into the turn fully until he realised he was going to just get the corner. Right? So it's not like he was trying to make the apex, right? That's the point, I would say. And he was very clever because I've seen other drivers do that and get away without penalties. So,
Right.
again, I think the stewards have probably got it right because they're the ones with the data. So that's what it comes down to, as far as I'm concerned. They, in the same situation, they did punish Nico, but Nico was going much slower through that corner than he'd been at any time in the previous 760 odd laps. And that made a difference. Now, whether that was the case with Verstappen, I don't know. If it was the case, I think the penalty should have been given. If it wasn't the case, then obviously they're correct not to.
I,
Again, I disagree that the Canada incident between Vettel and Lewis has much to do with this because of the fact that Vettel was off the track. So that's where we would disagree, I suppose, a little bit.
yeah, but it's the same thing. It's intentionally bumping into the car and forcing a person out of the track. Those were
Yeah.
no, I mean, listen, those were the two articles which were invoked in Canada, the very same ones.
Well, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I
So,
agree.
and again, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it's not a discussion. It's not a controversy. Even the fact that you said about the data. There is one thing that I'm not really sure about it, and again, I have no data to back me up, so I might be totally wrong.
Mm.
But another big difference between the Canada incident and the one which happened in Austria is that the decision in Canada was based only on the data acquired by the car. The decision in Austria, they decided to call the two drivers, which again, it's something that I hope they would have done in Canada too. They called the two drivers and they let them explain themselves.
Mm.
because it is one thing to look at the data, it is another thing to listen to the drivers. And of course, everybody's going to say, I'm right, of course. But even by
I
the
agree.
narrative that,
Hang on a minute.
even the narrative that they're saying, you can understand a lot more, and you also have the data to back it up eventually.
Okay.
So I'm really happy of what has happened in Austria. I'm really, really happy. I think it would have been, problematic.
Yeah.
Again, my biggest grudge is that it took probably the the person which was burned was Sebastian in Canada. So that was a cascade of problems, which eventually I hope it will turn to something good. Because if that's the ways they're gonna go, I'm all for it. So I mean, the championship is lost anyway. If that's the only good thing which can get out of the championship, I mean, we got to look, at the bright side.
Right. Okay. Well, let me just say a couple of things, and then I'd like to bring in Yale's to the show. Right. Firstly, just a couple of my points on this, which is, obviously we don't have the data. It is the steward's decision. I think it's different from the Canada situation because Seb was coming back onto the track, whereas both cars were on the track fighting for a position. So I think that does make a difference in the situation. You wouldn't expect Sebastian to be going full speed through that corner, whereas you would expect Verstappen to be going full speed through the corner in Austria. But that's a minor thing. That's down to a difference. At the end of the day, I would expect, as I say, I would have expected the penalty based on the Rosberg incident, but I don't have the data. If they say that Verstappen was braking that much later than he broke into that corner than previously, and he really did turn as tight as he could, that was clear by the steering wheel, then perhaps he had no choice other than to take Leclerc off the track or force him off the track, in which case it's perfectly legitimate because Leclerc should have realised that he was going to do that and then made an accompaniment and he could have cut in to
Yeah, but
take an earlier side. Now, all of that is in advance, right, of the corner happening. And, again, you've got to make your mind up. Leclerc would have had to make his mind up. He would have had to gone, right, Verstappen's going to run me wide, so therefore I need to break in behind him and then take a tighter line. And that's a gamble, whichever way you look at it. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you, but
hang on. And I think that's something that Leclerc will recognise. This is a much harder category than any category he's been in previous. It's dog eat dog. Nobody criticised Schumacher for driving into people for several
no,
times. I haven't finished. And then also just to say that I thought again Leclerc handled it superbly,
yeah,
absolutely superbly. Afterwards, he said, "I would have done what Max had done," knowing that in the future
oh
he's
yeah,
in the same situation where he wants to run somebody out wide, and he's going to want to have the same protection, right? So again,
right.
enough respect to Leclerc.
Absolutely.
No, but
Extremely mature of him to take it the way he did, but I would be pissed off if somebody had done that to me, and I had
right.
to start
No,
racing.
but I'm not complaining about your points. I agree with all your points. The thing is, the couple of things.
You'd be
The
pissed
the,
off because
the,
you
the
wouldn't be
problem.
smart enough to do
So,
it first.
sorry, yes, yeah, sorry.
Oh, no,
Hold on
go
a
ahead.
second.
Sorry.
Hold on. So the problem is, and keep in mind what I said before, and I agree with what you said. The main problem is that, well, there are two things. The first one is that if you look at the previous lap, not the one of the incident, they were in the very same situation, and see what happened in the previous lap. Now, I agree with you, it's a dog v dog, and I get it. I'm fine with that. My issue is that there is one driver that is running with the attitude that says, okay, they're gonna penalize people for pushing people out of the track because that happened to my teammate two races ago. So I know that this is what usually happens, but I'm not going to do that because I know what has happened 2 races ago. And then the lap after that, the other guy says, fucking, I'm going to try it anyway. And he pushes out. So the other guy says, hold on a fucking second. I could have done it the lap before. And I didn't because I knew that this is the general attitude of the FIA. This guy
That's an
says,
excellent
fuck
point.
it, and he doesn't get penalized. And this is the problem of consistency. And again, I like what Verstappen did. I love it. What I'm not really sure is that what would have happened the lap before if Leclerc knew that it was not going to be penalized. So it's like a fight where I have a arm tied behind my back, and you're just coming at me swinging with a probably a knife and a baseball bat. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
No,
yeah, that's the
it-
only thing.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Yeah, welcome to the show, and good to have you back on.
thank you.
And what did you
Same.
make? What did you make of the Verstappen Leclerc incident?
You know what? Honestly, I'm all for it. It was hard racing. I love hard racing. If we're the top tier in F1 here, if F1 is the top tier of motorsport, possibly of sport in general, and these are the greatest drivers in the world, let's not nerf them. Let's not tell them, oh, hold back, hold. No, absolutely, I'm for it. I think that they both tried to hold their line. I think they both tried to defend themselves adequately. And honestly, I I think it was a pretty obvious open shut case. And oddly enough, I'd even go to say here, this might be a little. I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this, but I think that this was more controversial than Canada, though, because they actually did touch.
Yeah, maybe. I liked the interview with Mario Italiano Cappuccino Benotto, someone or another, the Ferrari team manager. I don't know his actual name, but the interview after on Sky, he was basically saying, well, these are the rules. I mean, this must be a penalty if we apply the rules consistently. And basically somebody said back to him, well, that means you can only overtake her under DRS, and surely that's
Yeah.
one.
No, there was a.
He agreed. So again, the Ferrari side was extremely consistent with what they wish Formula One to be, and not to make it into some kind of pansy sport.
No. I disagree with that. I'm sorry, because I've listened to Binotto, and Binotto's point of view was not consistent with what they think F1 is.
Yeah,
Binotto's point of view.
that's
No,
what
sorry. But Binotto's point of view was consistent with how the rules are written and how they're implemented right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they agree with that.
No, it seemed to me he didn't agree with it.
Okay, so yeah, probably was a misunderstanding. So okay, cool. I can also say that, for example, he was very pissed about the whole thing. He wasn't happy. He said, I'm not happy about it, but I'm pretty much sure that this is going to happen because of what we saw before.
Yeah, again, my point was that he was protesting it because to be consistent with the way the rules have been applied
Right.
in recent years, it should have been a penalty. But
And yeah, I mean, talking about the fact that he's not happy without.
but he didn't want it to be a penalty because that's devaluing the sport, and he wants it to be a great sport, right? Ferrari take
Well, I
part
got
in a great sport.
Yeah, but you see, I mean, the rules have been applied to you a couple of races ago in that way. You're just expecting that to happen, when it happens to somebody else. I can tell you, for example, for a fact, that, for example, Ferrari, when it said at the beginning about Toto Wolff and the tires, that wasn't, by accident, because they had a meeting before and tried to, to find new way the tires are implemented. And guess who tried to push for a change? That was Ferrari. And Mercedes didn't. So they were already a little bit pissed, and they said, listen, it is not fair that tires are made and everybody has got to agree. Well, no, actually, he said something more interesting. He said, now everybody has to agree if you want to change the tires, because last year that didn't happen, right? So I said, now everybody has got to agree. And so this is not a thing which is fair.
Yeah, so just to fill in, the controversy was whether they should switch back to the old tyres that they had in early 2018, where Red Bull and Ferrari had the upper hand, or whether they should stay with the current tyres, which were the ones introduced halfway through the year, when it suddenly gave Mercedes the advantage. And of course, Mercedes were arguing, no, we want to stick with the ones which give us the advantage.
Of course,
Although clearly not at this race, and there were extreme circumstances.
Oh
in
no,
this
no.
race, like the track temperature was 52 degrees, etc., etc. Which is why a car like the Mercedes that uses its tyres extremely rigorously or in a hard way has a disadvantage over a car which doesn't, like the Red Bull.
But Mercedes wanted to have these tires, especially this race, because Mercedes have had problems with tire temperatures the whole weekend. They were actually found out. Well, I mean, there were cameras, going on, during the weekend, that they had at a certain point they showed that they had the cover, the electric covers. How do you call them in English? So it's termocoperte in Italian. So it's thermal covers, around the tires. The thermal blankets.
The tire blanket.
Yeah, tire warmers. So they had the tire warmers around the rear tires, but they didn't have the disc which covers them. They took it away, and they were blowing cold air on the rim to try to cool the air because they had problems with the pressures. So they were trying to actually cool the air inside the tire in order to have it, a little bit less pressure. And of course, if you have, the like the fattest tire of the previous year, the 0.4 millimeter, fatter tire, they would have had even more problems because the more tire you have, the the better the temperature is kept inside the tire. So I mean, they played their game.
Insulation.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, of course, the thing that was banned on the Mercedes was the fact that they could blow cold air through the wheel, right? Which is how they managed to keep the old tyres under control. And when that was banned, then they struggled with the tyres and they complained, and the tyres were changed, obviously, to a thinner thing to allow that not to be a problem. So again,
well, let's talk about.
And hang on, to be consistent.
Oh, sorry.
To be consistent, must say that he thinks the current shouldn't change. Right? Otherwise, he would look like he's just flipping back and forth to whatever's convenient at that moment. And of course, I think generally when the track temperature isn't so high, these tyres are going to favour Mercedes, right? But every time the track temperature does get really high, then he's going to favour not so much Ferrari, but maybe the lesser team like Red Bull. I think that can really works their tyres lightly, but has a lot of downforce.
Oh yeah, but last year you didn't need all the teams to agree on that.
No, absolutely, but of course, that's the politics of Formula One. That's one of the things that makes it so great, right? I mean, I still bitch that Ferrari get like whatever it is, an extra 30 million or some shit. You know what I mean? So I'm happy. I'm happy to play the politics game.
So anyway, what else? The Honda engine is back on the podium after. I mean, I know that on paper is the last time was in 2006, I think, with Button, but I think that was more of a fluke, race, stuff like that. I think if we want to really go back on proper dry condition, I think you have got to go back up until I think 92 or 94.
No, wait, are you saying
That
rain
was the
doesn't
time.
count?
Yeah, if you want to see a Honda engine on the podium in F1, I think.
You're saying. I think rain. I call rain the great equalizer. I think that it can make maybe a underperforming engine.
No.
Swing with.
No. Rain is not a great equalizer. Rain is just something which happens, and somebody's better trained with anybody else. Because, I mean, Ayrton Senna was a great guy, but it was driving a piece of shit Toleman in Monte Carlo, and nobody can tell me that car was good. So that, I mean, there are flukes, And I think that 2006 was the last time a Honda engine was on the podium with Jenson Button. When I think it happened with rain and all, some particular shit. But anyway, it's good to see Honda back on the podium. Of course, they had a problem during the race. They managed to work some magic. Changing some map or whatever the fuck, and it kept working. The engine was good. McLaren did an amazing race, both with Sainz and Norris. I think Russell is going to kill himself before the end of the season, because everybody's talking about Lando Norris, and while they were racing in GP2, Russell was constantly kicking the ass out of Lando Norris, but now everybody is crazy for Norris. So I think the guy is going to shoot himself in the face before the end of the season, and
I'm not going to hate on.
it will probably do that with Gasly, which I don't think is going to last till the end of the season.
Gasly's going to kill himself.
Yeah. No. Gasly will be killed and Russell will kill himself. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
what about
Gasly won't
what about your man Giovinazzi?
Yeah, Gasly won't make it to the end of the season. That would be my prediction. I've never seen anybody give so many bad performances and not be talked about. Right? Normally,
I was about to say Grosjean.
Normally, Christian Horner will say, "Oh, I know he's having a few bad things, but there's a reason for it. The car, he's finding it difficult with the car. The setup's a bit, but of course, he's not supporting his driver like that. No, the car's perfect. As usual, Red Bull car is brilliant. It's just Gasly can't drive it."
Yeah, but it's also, and Gasly, don't get me wrong, I think Gasly is a good driver. The problem is that, you get to a race where Verstappen wins and you get lapped. This is not going to be good for you.
It's the 20 best drivers in the world.
Well, I don't know about that, but
it's the 20.
There's still a gap. There's still a gap between 10 best and 20 best.
I'm not pretty sure about that.
Well, 20 best if you include
Christopher Mule.
If you include paid drivers.
Fantastic. He couldn't hack it in MotoGP.
Okay, no. Listen, yes. Are you seriously telling me that Stroll is among the best 20 drivers in the world? Really?
Stroll's an anomaly.
Oh, now it's an anomaly. So now it's 19. Okay, moving on. Okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there. Nice.
Yeah, nice. No, you have to include paid drivers in the 20 best, right? The 20 best drivers that either can afford it or are there on talent, of course.
Stroll's a gentleman racer. I think we all want to say it.
Yeah, look, he's done.
He can't beat Perez.
He's done really well, right? I think he's done really well, Stroll. Considering he came into the sport the way he did as a paid driver, I think he's actually one of the better paid drivers in the sport.
Yes.
But he's learned.
Better paid drivers and better drivers that are, actually, Hamilton, Vettel, Leclerc. There's a difference there.
They're not paid drivers, though. They don't pay any money to race. They get paid millions. So there's a big difference, right? They don't bring 20 million. They don't bring 20 million to Williams, and they certainly don't bring. They certainly don't have a dad to buy a team. But I will say one thing, which is, that Racing Point looks like a bit of a bugger this year. Mm-hmm. Right? Even with a Mercedes in the back, you'd expect it to go a little bit faster. It doesn't seem like it's very efficient on its downforce.
It's slow and it's pink,
like it has been in the previous few years. And it doesn't seem to have a lot of downforce like it should have. So again, they're going to struggle. They've said this year that they're going to be bringing a lot of updates. They're going to need them by the end of the year. I can guarantee you that.
They're going to upgrade. They're going to upgrade the driver.
I don't think it's a driver problem. I think it's a car's problem.
Sorry, just had a bit of a sneezing fit there.
That's all good.
Sorry, someone asked me in the side chat to put a shirt on, and now I'm really hot, and so I wish I hadn't. But anyway, there you go.
Is that a James
Hunt
shirt in the background?
Fuck it,
Yeah, but it's all right. all right for you. You know, you've been through nuke school, right? So
Oh yeah,
you're
there
used
you
to,
go.
you're used to the heat in submarines and shit.
Yeah, it's free campaigns in nuke school. It's one,
Yeah.
two, three campaigns. Yes.
And please, everybody, sub to the great debate in perpetuity.
Yes. We are 100% sure of what the fuck we're saying. All of it.
Most of the time. I can't. You
So
can't vouch for
before,
me there.
okay, before I know you want to wrap it up. Before you do that, I just want to talk about. Well, no, I don't want to talk about it because honestly, I didn't know the guy. But I just want to remember a guy. He was 36. The name was Carlin Dunn, and he won the Pikes Peak race 4 times. And unfortunately, he died this weekend while he was racing on Pikes Peak with a V4 Street Fighter Ducati motorcycle prototype. He was set up for an amazing time because I think he died on the last stretch of the climb, and unfortunately he died. He was set up for a good time. Apparently, again, I never met the guy. I don't know who the guy is, but everybody talked good about him. He won 4 times Pikes Peak, which uh, is not a small feat. So, I mean,
It's
it's
always
yeah,
sad to lose a comrade.
that that was a very sad moment. I think because it's. I mean, the Pikes Peak has become something which is it's under the spotlight a little bit more, but it's still the kind of race where I wouldn't say you can find gentleman drivers and all that shit, but it's still something to do for passion with passion. So, and when you lose someone
Like TT.
in a when you lose someone in a race like that, it's always sad, for the sport.
Well,
So
when you
Carlin
lose
Dunn,
someone top tier, I
so
mean, they're still our comrade. There's only so many
so
people in the world that want to do this stuff.
Yeah.
so
It's
Carlin Dunn, 36 years old, Godspeed, and yeah, thank you
may he
for
rest in
your service.
peace.
Indeed, yeah. Quick mention as well of a couple of other little things, which was there was go and look up the Donegal Rally, which happened recently. Unfortunately, there was a previous winner of many times that had a crash and passed away from that. So again, another fatality in motorsport. But again, these people are passionate about what they do, and their loved ones obviously recognise that. I would also just like to mention that there was a fantastic little piece with Leclerc driving to, I think it was France, where they showed a few pictures of him growing up and him karting with Verstappen, and also with Bianchi, and doing a 24-hour race. And that made my heart sing to see. Bianchi is a young man there bringing up the future talent of Leclerc and Verstappen. And it just goes to show that we've skipped a generation with the loss of Bianchi. And that's sad because, if he was there now, who knows, he'd be at Ferrari and he'd be the one bringing up Leclerc and leading the way. So, just to put that out there that he's greatly missed, of course.
And my 2 cents is here that like I said, we're a community. There's only so many people in the world who actually want to go out and do this and can appreciate this in the way that we can. And we don't romanticize death here. It's sad. It's sad when we they say, oh, those guys must be crazy. They must want to kill themselves. No, you don't understand. It's something way deeper than that. And yeah, the danger is a part of it, but it's always sad to lose a comrade in racing. I could still I met Marco Simoncelli a million years ago at Indianapolis. Nicest guy in the world, real racer. Another guy who was on track, pardon the pun, to be a rising star. I think he was in negotiations to go with a full factory ride with somebody, Ducati, right?
Correct. Yeah, he was.
And And even Tom Price was actually in negotiations with Ferrari when he died in '77. So yeah, it is sad to think of some of the amazing talent we've missed out on over the years, and we just hope things can be a little bit safer and do a little bit better.
We'll just say well done to Leclerc. It was a fantastic race. Well done to Verstappen.
Absolutely.
Well done to Verstappen. You lucky bastard. And, you know, we'll look forward to the next race, which I believe is Silverstone.
It is Silverstone. I checked it before, you know, the whole thing started because I knew that was going to happen. So I checked. I can tell you for a fact it's going to be Silverstone. It's going to be the 14th of July. I hope it will not be raining, and I hope it's going to be an atomic hot day so that Mercedes can fuck off, you know, once again, and we can have a proper race, you know, because see what happens when Mercedes are not around. We actually managed to see a proper fucking race. So
yeah. Agreed.
It was like a Wonderful Life starring Lewis Hamilton.
No, listen,
like
we have already established that the championship is gone and Lewis is going to win. The only good thing which transpired from Austria is that we finally understood that Bottas is not going to be a contender for the world title, because the way it was overtook by Verstappen was embarrassing. He didn't even, well, I wouldn't say he didn't even try. He just got the fuck out of there.
He got
Which
fried.
again, really, that was really bad. I mean, when I saw Verstappen coming back to Bottas, I thought to say, well, okay, well, he's going to lose at least one lap because, you know, I mean, of course the guy's going to try, right? He just got the fuck out of there. And said, well, yeah, I mean, he went out so fast, not even, you know, if it was lapped, right? It just disappeared. That was bloody embarrassing. So it's one less contender for Lewis, which is going to win the world championship. He can rest, you know, he can sleep really way more, you know, comfortably, because is that guy's best contender really that guy? Come on.
He's his lackey. He's his little lackey.
I'm not sure it's quite like that, but we are. I would say we're on a series.
Hamilton's Batman, Bottas is Robin.
Sure.
Come on.
I would say we're on a series of tracks which really suit Lewis and not Valtteri. And who knows, towards the end of the year, when some of Lewis's not such good tracks turn up, who knows, perhaps Valtteri will be back on it like a rocket. But, you know, we don't.
Yeah, and Hamilton will have 1 million points by then.
Yeah, that's my hope. Obviously, I want Lewis to have his 6th title. Nearer it, the sooner he gets to 8, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I might have a threesome with, you know, 2 Russian twins, you know, in about 10 minutes right now. Who knows, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, you know, is it going to be raining over there? I bet you think it will be.
It might be raining Russian nukers, right? I don't know.
I'm predicting a Williams 1 and 2 this year.
Okay.
I think they pick it up in the second half.
Yeah. 1, 2. I'm thinking that are they always going to be at the back of the field this year? I do hope something happens, that they get some break at least. Just because Williams is my team, and it would be nice to see them finishing something.
Oh.
I agree. I was happy for McLaren, to be fair.
Brilliant comeback. I bet they are gutted now about not having a Honda engine. I bet they're gutted. Anyway, is there anything else you guys would like to finish off with? Yes, is there anything you want to say?
You think Giovinazzi's getting the axe?
Well, I don't think so, because he's a Ferrari man, and therefore he's unlikely to get the axe. So no, would be my simple.
How many?
Why should he get the axe? I mean, if he managed to score 1 point, why should he get the axe now?
He's on the up and up, huh?
No, it's not on the up and up. It was already supposed to score points before. It got a little bit unlucky, and now he delivered. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
the guy went ahead of Renault, Force India, Haas, all these teams, and so see nothing wrong with the guy.
Well, other than he's not up to Raikkonen's standard, but
Oh
then,
yes,
of course, we don't
I mean,
expect.
Raikkonen's Raikkonen, but yeah.
Yeah, so no is the simple answer to that. Any other questions, Joe?
Yeah. Ferrari has said that they're not going to. Okay, first of all, how long did it take to decide that win? 3 hours.
Yeah,
To decide who.
the stewards, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
took them what 3 hours? They already had the celebration on the podium and handed out trophies,
sure.
sprayed the champagne, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But okay, first of all, I think that once you're up on the podium, it should be over. I think that it should be. If you haven't found a reason to say, okay, no, that should still count as a win if you're at the podium.
Sure. Well,
But
do you
Ferrari has said. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, basically to say that Ferrari put the appeal in before the podium. All right, so there was never a question that it wasn't going to be appealed or taken to the stewards, and of course they can't delay the podium because this is a global audience. So obviously it's good they're going to go do the podium ceremony regardless of what happens. As to the length of time it takes, I think they were probably trying to be consistent and but at the same time fair, and that is a bit of a challenge this year to be consistent and fair. So that would be my opinion. Fabio, what would you say?
no, just a small point. Ferrari did not put any appeal. Race incident is up to the steward to examine the situation. So there wasn't an appeal. It was during the race. I think slightly before the end of the race, that it showed up that the incident was under investigation. So that's something that normally happens. The appeal is something that you do after a decision is made. So like the one they tried in Canada and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just to be totally fair, it's not. It's a minor point.
Yeah. Sorry, my mistake. I maybe used the wrong word. Obviously, in the interview after the race, Ferrari did say that they requested whatever the word I'm supposed to use is.
Oh yeah.
The stewards to look at the incident,
Right.
to find out, and of course that happened before the end of the race. So there's no.
I thought Ferrari said that they weren't going to protest.
No, they're not.
No, they did protest.
Well, yeah,
to be consistent with the rules, they thought it may have been a penalty, but they wished it wasn't.
Well, here's the thing: that it's smart for them to not protest because then you're just taking points away from Mercedes.
No, it's
second place.
No. It has nothing to do with smart or not smart. It's a political thing. Actually, it's a very political thing because they actually issued an appeal after Canada. So by not making an appeal after this incident, it actually reinforces their original point of view. Because if that wasn't fair, so I'm appealing, and now you're going the way that the appeal should have gone. I'm not going to appeal. So what I'm basically saying in no uncertain terms is that you guys are a bunch of assholes. Because, but that's the gist of it, right? So either I was right in Canada and wrong here, or I'm wrong, or I'm right here and I was wrong in Canada. And now you showed me that I was actually wrong in Canada and wrong here. So fuck you, right? Because what the fuck do you want from me?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't win, okay, you play with your tools and you do whatever the fuck you want. It's like, we're playing cards and we decide to play poker and they have a royal flush, but you have, 4 aces and you decide, oh, no, we're not really playing poker. We're playing blackjack. So I win. Yeah, fuck you, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so Fabio, is there anything you'd like to just add on to basically the Austrian race?
No, I mean, as I said, I still don't like the track because it's short. I mean, it's 1 minute, 5 seconds track. It's too short for me. But it's an interesting track. The race was way better than I thought. I mean, it's F1, so it seems to be the interesting thing. So it seemed to be that everybody was doing whatever the fuck they wanted. So Verstappen was doing shit. Even Lewis was constantly out of the boundary of the track, and nobody, bashed an eyelid about the guy. And I was expecting, okay, what the fuck means somebody is going to tell him something, right? No, it didn't. It just, went over the. So I mean, I'm all for it. I want to see a Mad Max championship with machine guns and spikes for the cars. Because fuck it, if you don't, I mean,
Hell yeah, come on.
if you don't want to have rules, I want to see fucking machine guns.
Yeah, fair enough.
Death race.
I really like the track. I think it's a great racing track. It is short. It is more, in your face. What my main complaint would be is that the DRS zones are too big and too many, and you can't keep increasing the DRS zones expecting the races to get better.
Yes.
That just doesn't work, and I'm a bit disappointed that they ruined another track by doing this. Because
that's actually a very good point. They had 3 points. You're right. Sorry. No.
Yeah, but apart from that,
yeah, but it's
we need something to stop Lewis winning. Come on, he's the best out there with the best car. So,
spike strips.
Okay, so
we have something to stop Lewis winning. It's called global warming. Because apparently Mercedes are shite when it's hot. So yeah.
Yeah, but under my conspiracy, I think Ferrari suffer as well. So I think we're just giving the race to Red Bull every time.
Yep. Yeah, but your conspiracy is shit because it doesn't add up. While mine works because they said that they put more holes in that bloody Mercedes. It looked like a B17 after it came from a mission over Germany. It was full of holes, and still they couldn't run it properly.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason it was so slow. I'm hoping that is it, obviously. Okay, so Yals has obviously dropped out. I don't know why that is, but if he comes back, that's great. Other than that, I was just going to wrap up. So yeah, B17. Yeah, that's right, B52.
What? I mean, there were B17s.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. Maybe that was the German model. I don't know.
Yeah, and also, I mean, to be totally fair, B52 never flew over Germany.
Yeah.
Yes, whoever wrote that, is so wrong.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I was going to liken it to the Hindenburg, but that's just me.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Vettel to have a big crash before I put the Hindenburg thing up. Anyway.
Well, the Hindenburg was German, and it actually caught fire. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Vettel has a big crash.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, thank you so much, Fabio. It's been a great hangout, a long hangout, but a great hangout. Mainly because Austria was a pretty good race this year, I think.
Right.
And that's testament to it. Thank you for joining me. Really appreciate you coming on again.
Thank you.
And please come back.
Always a pleasure.
Please come back next time. And in 2 weeks' time, we will see everybody for the British Grand Prix. The first Grand Prix ever for the World Championship was 1950 at Silverstone. So this is returning to our roots here. And we usually do get a pretty good Grand Prix because it's a fantastic track. So alongside Monza, these are Z tracks you want to be at. And I think Monza's coming up pretty soon as well. So everything to look forward to in Formula One. Please join us for those. And ciao, everybody. Say ciao.
Cheers. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.